Hey, welcome to the video. So, one of the issues we've been dealing with here is the sunroof. Boat is a 35 Regal Sport Coupe, has the sunroof, and the sunroof will open, but when we close the sunroof or hit the switch, nothing happens. Did some troubleshooting here with the wiring here, so you've got basically a positive feed coming in here, and then these two positive feeds go out. On this side, there's actually a connector here. These brown wires and black wires have match up, and I did continuity tests that make them go here, prove they go here, and then they turn into these other bigger brown wires, brown and then black stripe, and then power to there. We followed it all the way up to the sunroof. We can actually find what appears to be the brown wire, brown with the black stripe. These are obviously the positive negative feeds to the motor. The tricky thing is, so it's using reverse polarity to make the motor go one direction versus the other direction. Sometimes you can actually do that on the switch, on the rocker switch, by crossing these wires. That obviously wasn't done here. I read some stuff saying there's a relay, two relays used to make that reverse polarity. I looked all the way through here, couldn't find anything. So I took the top off of here, this top, and then found in these little holes, used a scope camera, followed these brown wires, they went all the way towards the back. In addition, we have limit switches which go in the front, keep it from going once the motor hits the front, or the track hits the front, the motor cuts off. So the limit switches are programmed in there as well. And you can see there's a couple wires back here. Another little porthole. Mess going on. Some of these, trace these from up above. I'll show you that later. And then you got black with white striped wires, and they also go this sort of direction. So traced them down. Like I said, they kind of go this way through a channel and then come down here. And then once I found that, here I found these relay switches. So an odd place, I had to the grill goes here, and there's a refrigerator here that goes in, so it was easy enough to take the screws out of the grill and pull it up, and then the same thing on there's only 4 screws on the refrigerator, and it just pulls out, so gave us some room. So I've got a new relay. I'm guessing, I didn't do all the testing, I'm just guessing the relay went bad, since I do have power coming up there to the switch. I did some continuity back to the wires there, so I just bought a switch. It was 10 bucks, and I'm going to try switching the relay out and testing it and see what that does. If that doesn't work, we'll dive a little deeper. I traced the wire back, since this is kind of strange, but when you press the button towards the top, which would be closing, it actually triggers this bottom wire here. So the 12 volts comes to this black wire. So that's the one that's not working. If we trace that to this one, the black goes to the brown with black stripe wire. I'm having to jump over this refrigerator. And then in here, brown with black stripe. This is from the front there because we see our power, those two brown wires goes to this brown, solid brown. There's a brown one and then the brown with a solid black stripe on there. So they kind of get switched around, but so we're brown with black stripe. See if I can find it here. Alright, well, oddly enough, I'm not seeing. A brown. Oh, here's our, this is a brown with a dark black stripe on this wire. So I think it's going to be because we said it was the brown with black stripe that wasn't working, which goes to the brown, which would take us to this one, which says aft on the relay. Come on, tripod, work with me. Oh, it's not even. So let's try replacing this relay with our new one. Looks the same. So this green one goes back here. I need a screwdriver or something to pry these off with, or some needle-nose pliers. Here. So I believe that's part of the limit switch, which also gets tied to the negative wires. That way it kind of breaks this connection once the limit switch can't work anymore. Go through the wiring diagram in a bit. I shouldn't have any power here at the moment. Shouldn't be in danger of sparking anything. These two are piggybacked off each other, which is kind of an interesting setup. Basically, again, we'll show the diagram, but once the power comes in over the brown wire from the front switch, it's going to energize the relay, then send power there, and then send power to the green cable, which goes out back to the motor. Alright, just two more connections here. Like I said, my suspicion is that this relay went bad, but I didn't really test the relay or go through that yet. If this replacing the relay doesn't work, I'll go through that. But relays being $10 figured it was worth replacing. Just given that there's nothing else that's changed. I don't see any major corrosion. So that's that one. The middle one. Again, this is the limit switch and the negative, I believe, tied together here, which gives us a negative flow through the switch when it's not active. And then again, once the limit switches come to their limit, they open the circuit. They open the circuit and then causes it to stop the motor. Alright, let's just see if we got the right one. Yeah, still got nothing. You heard the reverse happen, but it's possible, I suppose, I got the wrong relay. Huh. So now if we push up and back. Alright. So that solves that problem, but I have to go back and connect the screws back to the top. I'll show you that next. I'm going to move that forward, see where the rail is there. So that's how this works. As you can see, this part will get together with this part. I undid it while I was troubleshooting. And then this belt, basically it's I'll say one piece, kind of like a belt, where you take these 4 screws out and then you put those 2 ends together, creates the loop, and then tighten that down. That keeps the belt in place. And then there's some tension screws back here that move this wheel back, put tension on the belt. So we'll do that here in a bit too. And here is a limit switch. So the rear limit switch, again, the white, black wire, white stripe, just goes there. And I've got to clean some of this up. Again, I was taking some of it apart. originally when I started this project, I wasn't sure how all this, the wiring was working, and I could not find a wiring diagram from anywhere online. Regal said they don't have one. So I had to trace all the wires, so I took a lot of stuff apart that didn't need to be, obviously, if I had known where the relays lived. As you can see, this is freely just on track that you can move back and forth by hand, and then you gotta get up and over that thing there. Line up the holes. There we go. Just about there. Just have to line up the holes with that. Let's see. Might be off just a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Tighten these up. Remember what size this was, but this should work. Again, just try to do it evenly. A couple spins on this side, a couple spins on the other side. I had a wrench that I had the right size. I just don't remember what size it is. I think I'm going the wrong way. Nope, that's right. So if I'm tightening it, should be drawing it back. Let's use this. Yeah, already got some tension on it. You don't want to overdo it. You just want it to, you know, be able to bite these gears, not slip, because it still slips sometimes. Alright, I'm going to leave it at that. Test it. Don't have to, I'll come in and adjust. Alright, here's the proof. Here's the button. Let's see. It works. So like I said, I'll tidy this back up. This was in some wire looms and zip tied down here to keep up and out of the way. Come back and do that. I got to put my roof back together. This back together, but hopefully it gives you a little better understanding of how the sunroof works. And all right, and the limit switch seems to work as well. So let's take a look at these relays. What we're going to do to test them is just use our ohms setting. So obviously when there's connectivity, it'll go to 0. The aft one, which was good, so by default the pin 30 and pin 87A will be connected with no power to this, so we should get hard to hold this thing. So see how we get ohm meter goes to 0, we got connectivity. And if we go to pin 87, the top pin, we got nothing. So that 87 connects to 30 when we put power to the relay. So that relay is good. Do the same thing on this one. So see, we should have connectivity through these two pins, but we don't. And then if we go to pin 87. It's jumping all over the place because I can't hold it still. There we go with the continuity. So this relay is stuck open, which is why we had the issue. So we'll take a look at the wiring diagram now and figure out, kind of show you why that failed. All right, let's take a look at the wiring diagram that I created. So I created this diagram because I couldn't find one online and thought this might be helpful for me in the future, and hopefully somebody else as well. So let's go through the components. You obviously have your battery connection. Here's the switch, the dash switch. There's some connectors that go, connect the pins. We saw those in the video earlier. Connect over to the relays, and then of course there's the limit switches, and then last but not least the motor that controls the sunroof. Anyway, so that, yeah, as we said before, it works on reverse polarity. So depending on which way you have the positive and negative feeds coming in, the motor will go one direction versus the other direction. So if we kind of take a look here, the battery is providing power to the switch on this middle terminal. When we go to hit the open button, we're going to get power through here. It's going to energize this pin 87 and 86 because it actually has a jumper wire here. The 86 and 85 are the ones that actually energize the relay. So what happens then is that power goes, instead of going from 87A to 30, which is the state of the relay when there's no power to it, it'll then have power, or it'll then connect 87 to 30. So then 30 has power, so a positive connection coming through this connector to the motor, and then coming through here, of course, then 85 has our negative connection and completes the loop. So same thing happens when we close. Same exact concept here. We're going to have power to 86 from here with this jumper wire. 85 is our negative. Power is going to come 30. So now we're putting, the positive feed coming the other direction, the motor, making it go the opposite direction. So that'll happen as long as you're pushing the switch, right? So when you let go of the switch, it stops the motor. The other thing that'll stop it is obviously these limit switches. So if they connect in sort of a loop fashion from 87A to 85, so then that way, if once it hits the limit switch, which is a normally closed switch, meaning it basically provide connectivity through it by default, and then whenever the magnet touches the limit switch, it opens that connection, cuts off your negative terminal, and then basically then shuts off power to the motor. So that's in a nutshell how that works. Hopefully that made sense to you. If this was helpful, let me know. Put some comments below, and then let us know, like and subscribe, and we'll put some more content out there for in the future. Thank you so much for watching.